Well, well, well. It brings me no pleasure to take a victory lap today, but we are here after one of Real Madrid's worst performances in the last 18 months. Tactically, one of our worst performances I've ever seen, considering the caliber of opposition. And wow, we are here to talk about Benfica 4-2 Real Madrid. Again, it brings me no pleasure to take a victory lap, but if you've been listening to the show, 20 shots conceded against Monaco, a feed Vinny strategy that lost us the game against Albacete. All these signs were very mixed with Arbeloa coming into this game. And then coming into this game, he essentially continues the strategy of force feeding Vinicius. There's this talk about Mourinho and visiting Mourinho's home, and he got humbled by Mourinho. Mourinho just put up a masterclass and destroyed us. I will get the stats displayed, but that statistically was horrible. The first half alone, they were up 2.4 xg to zero point 0.3 on us. We had no control of the ball throughout the game. We were honestly just struggling. How many times have we said this is the worst performance of the season? Way too many times. Good point, Nemuche, and thank you for joining as a member. We have definitely said that it's the worst performance too many times, but I will say between this and Albacete, I believe these two performances that have happened under the new coach, who we're supposed to get a new swing from, are two of our worst performances, even under Carlo, Xabi Alonso, and all that. Alonso's bad games were Celta, Atletico Madrid. We're looking at Albacete and Benfica, who are worse teams, are having these are the teams that we're struggling against. And, I'm really skeptical about this whole Arbeloa thing working. I've been saying that from day one. It's because we don't have the ability to turn and control the ball. So even if you let the players do what they want to do, like Carlo did the last 4 years, there's no Cruz or Modric to rescue you. So this bullshit idea that you can change the coach mid-season and that he's going to be able to praise the players, tell them to not run too hard, and suddenly we're going to win, that was bullshit from day one. It's not just that. It's that the fact that even games against Monaco, that we win 6-1, we're giving up 20 shots. We haven't really had a clean performance outside, you could argue, Villarreal, especially the second half. Xabi wouldn't have lost this game, he says. There was no tactical discipline. I think the big difference between Arbeloa and Xabi, I was tweeting this before the game, posted it on YouTube for those of you who tune in, is that Arbeloa decided to say, fuck passing the ball side to side and controlling the game. You guys get to do whatever you want on offense, play fast, play to your strengths. Just make sure you run hard on defense. So the idea is that by allowing the players to play free, you get higher defensive commitment. You get Mbappe tracking back at 5-1 against Monaco and all that. The problem is that would work in like the Mourinho era, honestly. It's like Arbeloa is ultimately thinking that you can win these games without controlling the ball. You can play fast one-touch football. You can track back hard as a unit, and you can win without controlling the game. That's what 2012 Real Madrid did. But we've just gone 12 years forward, guys. We signed Cruz and Modric so we wouldn't lose Champions League ties like 2012 Real Madrid did. So at the end of the day, Issa says here that Arbeloa ignored rest defense and is punished, partly. But the reality is we can't rest with the ball. If we can't control the ball, the game will be end-to-end. That's just the reality. And some games like Villarreal, you see it work out where the counter press might get us a couple chances. But even then, those games work out because we're able to avoid the trade-offs of a settled game. As the longer you play a settled game, the longer the other team essentially hits us in transition and asks us to do something with the ball at our feet, but presses up on us, we do nothing. So never seen a more immature group of players, says Abhinav. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, the strategy is pretty clearly dictated around Vinny. I just want to start and say that. The tactics, like Arbeloa is catering to Vinny. He is basically asking... He's basically having the ball force-fed to Vinny on the wing every game. If you go back to the very first one, Albacete, we are living and dying with Vinny. I'm just so weird. I guess I'm weirded out seeing a team play to get a player back into form. Like, what's the point of being Real Madrid if that's what we do? We should be having players compete for the same spot. And I think the feeding Vinny strategy has games where it can work, moments like Monaco. But the reality is that this guy is not playing on the level he was in 2024. So you get Albacete, or a game like today, the first half, we literally just kept switching play and feeding him and Masantuano and trying these wide triangles that weren't working. So at the end of the day, I think the immaturity comes from the way they've dictated tactics since October, the way certain players don't get benched. So Honorbound has a super chat here. They didn't play fast. Our midfield refuses to play the difficult pass, and our attack doesn't run into space. Midfield needs to pass, but they just aren't that good. I agree, they're not that good. I'm still mad that they fired the coach because the midfield is not that good, to be frank. And I get that there were a lot of issues with the players and personnel, but I think this game proves that telling these players what they want to hear, making them feel like humans, making them feel appreciated, and this human managerial aspect, it works when that's the equation. But I've been saying all season that I've been saying since Celta Vigo, there is no ability to actually create on the ball in midfield. So I think Alonso trying to get the team comfortable playing at a sober tempo was necessary to rest on the ball, necessary so you don't give up 2 expected goals playing ping pong ball with Benfica. I don't think we had one game like this under Alonso. You know, like there was so much talk about how we had our best offensive game last week against Monaco. Listen, we had that Dortmund 5-2 under Carlo too. We need to go through a process where we learn to control games and play defensively. Like any half-decent team completely shuts us down. I agree fully. And the thing is, honor bound, with Arbeloa's style of play, the only time things work is when we play fast. Or in this case, when Benfica got complacent in a couple of cases, honestly, because it felt like they weren't expecting that Asensio ball to Mbappe, who doesn't head it. They were not, they kind of slowed down at 3-1, which is how we made it 3-2. But at the end of the day, like either the other team gets complacent and stops pressuring the ball, or we play ultra fast. But as soon as we have to string 10, 15 passes together, our attacks fall apart. Taking out Arda, who was actually trying to create things, was shocking. I agree. And on the Arda note, Arda was really mad when he came off. If you guys saw, there was a clip that was going around where he says, always me. Hey guys, I know Arda didn't lead us to 2 Champions Leagues, but it would be really weird if they let him decide when he gets subbed off for the next 3 months. If they let him burn bridges in the locker room over this. If they suddenly imagine if Arda just didn't get subbed off for the next few months because he's mad. Because that's effectively what happened the last few months. As people are pointing out, how does Vinny manage 0 passes to fullback on his side, always overlapping? He needs to be dropped or sold. It's annoying at this point. I agree. The Arda Güler sub was not ideal because we were growing into the game down 3-2. I know I'm all over the place here, guys, but at this point, the game was a disaster. But at 3-2 down, I believe Arda Güler got subbed off, and he was starting to really figure out the combination play. And as Namucci says, Vinny should have been taken out instead of Arda. What a clueless change. And also not bringing in Gonzalo Garcia. Yeah, man. Listen, Vinny pretty clearly decides when he wants to get subbed off, okay? This is what I don't like about this situation with Arbeloa. It doesn't feel like Arbeloa just trying to get the best out of the players, but it feels like Florentino Perez telling Arbeloa, hey, I don't give a fuck about your contract. I don't give a fuck about Xabi's contract. Get Vinny to re-sign. Get him to play well. Florentino is going at things from an outcome standpoint, not a process standpoint. And that's how you get these situations where, Vinny doesn't play well and there's no possibility of him being subbed off. And this is why I have like a little bit of trouble figuring out what Alonso could have done differently. It's like the same thing I asked last week. What happens when the attackers aren't pressing well? We're struggling in a game. Who do you take off? Is appeasing the players suddenly going to make them play better? Like, are you going to praise them when they're not running defensively? Like, I don't see how it works when things go wrong like it did under Carlo and Xabi. And that's why Xabi's last 2 months, the Celta game, I'm like, dude, the players are picking the team sheet for him. Vinny's picking the team sheet for him. And also Fede is playing right back all the time. It's funny how, I saw some funny tweets, but it's funny how Mina Bonino is not putting out stuff about Fede every week anymore. Hey, man, we get that you didn't like Xabi, but I wish you just didn't make it so much about him. And at the end of the day, I don't know if Fede cared. I wonder if Fede was just sticking up for his buddy Vinny, who again seems to call the shots in terms of when he gets subbed off. The midfield has issue. The attack outside of Mbappe is nothing. Correct, Keiki. There's no creation, no dual willing, no tracking back, no press, nothing. I agree. So it is what it is, guys. It's been horrible. I wonder what the criteria and profile of player was when Mastantuono was scouted. I don't know what he does or brings apart from hustling. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we would have been better off with Endrick. It's just Mastantuono recycles the ball and does the wide rotations. But again, yeah, it is a sign of how far the team has fallen, that because our attackers want ball to feet so often, that someone who just offers that verticality, even if he can't beat a man, like, let's be honest, the guy is basically like kind of like a cone at winger. Like, he's not a dynamo whatsoever. He's more of a receiver who recycles it, like a Bernardo Silva. listen, I think part of the motivation with him was PSG circling in on him, but at the same time, yeah, like it's a great like the fact I'm Endrick honestly doesn't have the associative play, but we haven't solved that right hand side. The fact that Franco adds so much but also struggles in so many games kind of indicates where we are. Like Franco's a bit like Lucas Vasquez is all I'll say. He's a bit more of Lucas Vasquez, but yes, Vasquez was producing more as a winger even when he was a role player 10 years ago. Regarding Goulet, Honorbound says Goulet's sub was appropriate. He wasn't effective at that point. Yeah, I think it's a mix. I think he was holding onto the ball a lot and getting tired. I also thought that he's one of the only ones who plays the ball through the middle and kind of gets Rodrigo and Mbappe some of those chances. So it is what it is. Did you see what Arda said? Yeah, that it was always him. Not just not pressing well. See it outside of Mbappe a bit. They barely create anything. Yeah, I just think there's not enough talent on the team to justify coddling the players. So Issa says, I disagree. It's a price boosting, so we enough in summer. No chance Perez tolerating this if not for money, regarding Vinicius. Yeah, I agree. I agree it's all about money. And Arp says, when did we start to care about a single player this much? What is this obsession? I'm just saying the system seems like it's designed around getting him the ball even more than Mbappe. Like going back to the first game at Albacete, it was just feed him, force feed, force feed. If you go to the Alonso system against Talavera, it still had other elements of the game present. The extent to which we're taking one touch, switching play to the wings, and trying wide rotations, but Vinny's not taking advantage of those wide rotations. That's the thing. Carreras is constantly open and not getting the ball. And so I guess the reason I care about that one player is I just wonder, can the coach sub him off when we're down? Like that was the issue today. And B, is that best system one that brings him back to confidence? Is that what's best for our institution over the next 6 months? Or should we be focusing on, like we have so many guys, Camavinga, Bellingham, Mbappe. The Vinny system, it might be that he has the locker room power where guys like Fede and others want to play more free. That doesn't mean playing the way he wants is best for us as a club, honestly. And like, I don't think playing the way he wants is going to turn us into a Champions League contender. And giving up 20 shots to Monaco kind of confirmed that for me. And today we see that even further. Franco is too poor technically. Just working hard is not enough. Yeah. The bigger problem is these issues in squad planning are not going to go away in a single window. Like we need a season or two to regroup now, and for no reason. This was completely on us. Yes, that's exactly what it feels like. It's like, okay, we're stuck in the mold of trying to get players' confidence tactically. Like honestly, that's my main upset from this game. Like it doesn't feel like Arbeloa is coming and taking a first principles approach to putting together the best possible team. Feels like he's coming in and following the president's orders. So it is what it is. It's not going to go away anytime soon. I will say this, on some level, the best bet for us as an institution is to be humbled, because when you're humbled, you actually take the measures you need to succeed. We were humbled when Carlo got fired in 2015. We signed Lucas Vasquez. We signed Casemiro. I think we brought Kovacic in. It was just excessive. Danilo, Morata. We had a pretty deep team going into. We had a deep team for 2 years, and the first under Benitez, and then the first under Zidane, and then he goes and signs Ceballos because he had enough success to start taking bets on young players again. And then when Zidane leaves, he goes and signs Brahim Diaz. He gives Zidane players reluctantly because Zidane says, hey, this is what we need to win. And Florentino is like, okay, people want to win. I'll give Zidane says this will give us victory. I'll give it to him. And then the Hazard thing doesn't go too well. And on top of that, they start putting pressure on him his second season. And then they bring in Carlo. Carlo comes in and is like the club man who essentially never goes against the club in press conferences. Carlo also pulls off two of the most improbable seasons in football history out of 4. And I think we're at a point now where if they could get Arbeloa to win the Champions League this season, honestly, it would probably set us back, because I think it would require a very easy path to the final. Good news, guys. That path is gone. We lost our buys because we lost to Mourinho's Benfica. That 4th goal that Benfica scored got them to the round of 16. It got them qualified, and we are going to be playing the round of 32. So whatever Pintus effect we were hoping for, which again is temporary because Pintus takes away from modern training strategies to implement his style, which is why our coaches don't want him anymore. But by bringing him in, we're glossing over the injury prevention department. And again, like there was a tweet going around about how much fitter we look today. And look how quickly that fell apart once we went down. Look how quickly that fell apart in the second half. As soon as we start facing adversity, that added new manager effect is gone. Someone had a comment here somewhere someone had a comment essentially saying that the new manager effect is over with Arbeloa. And I agree. The new manager effect is done, guys. He has a poor away record, but I think, today he showed us you wouldn't sit Mbappe or Vinny playing against the 3 center back line with Otamendi without a striker is wild. Yes, it is wild. And, at the end of the day, with all these constraints, if Arbeloa was able to come in, appease the players, just throw out all the tactic stuff and make the players think tactics are meaningless and that film review is meaningless and that you need a connection together, fine if that's true. But then it kind of glosses over the tactical issues on the team, the injury prevention issues at the club. So if we got an easy draw where we face like 3 bad teams, 1 tough round out of 4, and if we had somehow scraped over the line, and it wouldn't have been pretty, it would have been like 24 or 22, but arguably worse, then if we pulled that off, it would have just convinced Perez that he could keep drinking his own Kool-Aid. Vinny would extend for 30 million a year, and our wage bill would totally fall apart. It would be bad. And hey, at least the players are free to express themselves now that Xavi's gone. Look how stupid that shit sounds now. Like, that shit sounds so cute and sexy when you assume that results are guaranteed. Then you look at Albacete. Monaco honestly wasn't great for me. Like, you can't, if your greatest performance that you could never do under Xavi required conceding 20 shots, it's biased. And that's why this is the podcast for real Real Madrid fans, like, there's a type of results-oriented bias you can get when you look purely at the scoreline. And at the end of the day, are we doing that when we say Xavi won 13 out of 14? Sure. But I'm just saying that's a 15-game sample size, which is like our best sample size since the start of when Mbappe joined. Now we're looking at, we're just going backwards. I feel sorry for Jude. He looked lost. Yeah, he did look lost. Just trying to find that comment about Arbeloa. But yeah, I mean, as long as Vinny is happy, Perez is happy, Arbeloa will definitely say Vinny is the best player ever again in the press conference. You know what? Let me pull up the press conference. Let's see what the Madrid zone has to say. I think Benfica had a 7% chance of making it. So Arbeloa said, we lacked intensity. We lacked a lot of things. We lacked football. Yeah, buddy, we do. Whenever we lose, it's always my fault. I was unable to manage the game properly and prepare the boys to win. I will say this. I don't think there's much Arbeloa could do differently considering how he positioned himself to enter the institution. But if he's under the mandate of Florentino and has to push up Vinny's confidence, he's trapped. But then his coaching career is just taking a hit. So, dude, if you're such a club servant that you'll coddle the players and play nice, and ultimately we're going to go sideways like Solari, hey, good for you, man. But then you saw how Solari's coaching careers went since then. It's not a guarantee that you can get out of a situation like this when you martyr yourself for the club. Arbeloa says we are not out of the UCL. We have 2 games and we need to win. Yes, but now our path is considerably harder. I don't think we can beat 2 of Bayern Munich and Arsenal to the Champions League. Then he says, it's 100% my fault. It was my fault we lost to Albacete. It's my fault we lost tonight. Yes. I just think you should also not go around saying that that we are suddenly figuring it out. I don't think you should go around claiming that Real Madrid is all about emotion. Real Madrid is all about love and managing people. Real Madrid has nothing to do with tactics. That's all bullshit, dude. We won the 3-peat with Zidane, getting us defensive possession. We won that extra La Liga with Zidane when he figured out defensive possession. The foundations of defense and build-up play that team had were then built on by Carlo to win us the Champions League. So it is what it is. Can we get Vinny out of the team? That guy is rubbish with the smelly ego. He's honestly gone way too far, and Florentino's gone way too far, though. You can't criticize Vinny without criticizing the guy who was ruthless, who sold Cristiano Ronaldo, who was ruthless to Redondo, but now he's coddling people. It's just, when you have business standards, you got to have them across all levels of the club. It's the same reason you'd criticize Xavi, right? Xavi didn't impose himself on Vinny, or some people say too much, but others say he played coach to not get fired. What is Arbeloa doing differently? Honestly, like it feels like he's coaching to not get fired right now. Arbeloa says, before the game, we knew we had a lot of things to improve on, and I still think that now. We really need to improve. Listen, we saw that improvement to a degree against Villarreal, but I guess now you can see why Monaco and Villarreal, like, it's funny because Monaco we beat and we know they're weak. Villarreal, we on paper are strong, but they actually haven't taken shit off anyone in Europe or in the top of La Liga. They are literally flat track bullies this season. So we beat Monaco and gave up 20 shots to them, and then we beat Villarreal, who are flat track bullies, and didn't concede chances to them. But we didn't necessarily create so much. So that's the situation. Arbeloa says, this isn't the first time a goalkeeper scored against me. It's not that strange. We know we have a lot to improve on. We were unable to compete for 90 minutes. Do I regret my overly positive messages to some players, like telling players to run less? No, I don't regret anything. To be fair, I don't expect him to come out in the press conference and trash his own comments. I'm just saying, institutionally, guys, like, we have to keep the heat on Florentino Perez. If you think we lost tonight because the attackers didn't run, then I strongly disagree with you. I agree with that. I don't think you spiting the players or making the attackers run harder will change the fortune of our season. But at the end of the day, that's the point around why we wouldn't have sacked Alonso too. Our floor and ceiling doesn't change with Arbeloa. Arbeloa said, given the team's performance tonight, I'd rather not talk about the ref at all. Yeah, those are his comments, man. I'm just hitting refresh on the page. Anything else here? We are very far from the level we want to be at. No fucking shit, man. Here's the thing. I don't see how we get there this season. And our best bet is failure. I hate to say it, but we need more failure. And I'm not rooting for Arbeloa to fail. I'm just saying, if we sneak like a Leipzig tie, the further we get, the more we're convincing this stupid fucking board that they know what they're doing. And yeah, the further we get this season, the more we're literally begging our player to extend instead of forcing him to work for it. So it is what it is. Let's hope Mbappe continues scoring because he's our only hope of winning games at this point. I agree. Just want to shout out our new members, Honorbound, Namuche, Issa, for all joining. Shout out to all you guys. And just going back to Honorbound, though, and his super chat, they didn't play fast. It's just our mid refuses to play the difficult pass and our attack doesn't run into space. The midfield's lack of bravery stands out. It's just that when you play one touch like Arbeloa is, but you don't have the scanning capacity to play one touch and you don't actually have the IQ, and a few guys do. Carreras honestly seems to really thrive. It's a shame Vinny can't find him on the overlap ever, but Carreras thrives playing one touch. Some of these guys do, but the midfield doesn't thrive playing one touch. Jude sometimes can take an extra touch. And so you get a lot of ball movement that looks good and fast, but it doesn't lead to chances. Whereas maybe you'd get Cruz or Modric. Maybe you'd only get a few good sequences in a whole game against Liverpool, like in the Champions League final. But when you had to play that one touch, you would slice the team. Now it's the opposite. Even if we get 20 sequences of 20 passes, it's all stale side to side. Yes, the positional rotations aren't working because you get guys like Arda in wide areas who can't do one-on-one. You get Vinny or Franco centrally where they're on, like Franco is not a big threat right now, and Vinny centrally is not a threat at all right now. Let's be honest. Like, he's a threat on the wing when he beats a man and he can square the ball in if he has a clear target. But when he comes inside, he's been inefficient. So yeah, it's been tough, guys. I don't know if you have any more comments here. We can close out, but I don't believe this team has a future this season. I was like resisting the urge to just keep repeating that against Monaco last week when we gave up 20 shots, and I was telling you I had an ominous feeling that this would be bad. Where can I find this post-match interview? I was just pulling it off the Madrid Zone Twitter, but they're usually fast, some of these aggregators, but I'm sure you can find it elsewhere. Vinny's making Carreras look ineffective. He has to be the most frustrating, talented player ever. Yep, you said it in a nutshell. To be fair, Neymar was extremely frustrating too, because he never led his team to the promised land as the number one option, and he would always choke in front of goal. But yeah, Vinny's starting to get really frustrating for me now. That whole conversation about Vinny, Neymar, and Ronaldinho's legacy grows more interesting by the day, because we know Vinny has those elite years on his resume, but now he's like, it's very Ronaldinho after, frankly. Like, it's like nothing, zero after the prime. Of course, the difference is Vinny seems to be trying a lot more. Ronaldinho would just party and threw his career away. Vinny cares more, no question, but at the same time, caring doesn't guarantee the result, unfortunately, in this case. This is one of the most embarrassing days for me as a Madrid fan. Yes, this and Albacete and the Alonso sacking this month has been one of the most embarrassing months as a fan. I think it's just I don't think we changed our floor and ceiling with the sacking. Liverpool are about to go get Xabi, and I don't even know. Honestly, Liverpool with Michael Edwards and Xabi Alonso, that's a threat, man. That's like, it's not a PSG type threat in that PSG have endless money, but that is a threat. If we qualify from the round of 32, we're facing Man City or Sporting Lisbon. Great. Man City, another team like us, we can beat them, but I just don't think we can handle rolling the dice as often this season. You flip the coin enough where it's going to land the wrong way sometimes. The one thing I hate about this team is nobody runs when you have possession. The ball has to come to the field before doing anything. I thought they do try to move the ball sometimes more with possession. Without possession, it was mixed. I just think it's like headless chickens, man. It's wide rotation. Vinny drives into a wall. Either he passes it, but he's rarely beating his man and making the right pass in the wide rotations. Hardly anyone is generating an advantage. It's just Kylian popping up in spaces. Man. That's all we got. Pulling back, Arp, what you said about Vinny, we need structural change. No, I understand what you said earlier now. You were saying, how the fuck did we get to the point where we're coddling a mediocre player who has put up mediocre performances for a calendar year? I don't fucking know. And they called me a fake Madridista for saying all this shit. But, hey, man, like, all you smart fake Madridistas and all you non-dick riders, people who are able to, be outside a bubble, congratulations on being critical if you are with me, because a lot of people who follow this club, they just use it as Kool-Aid, man. They want to be like Man United fans, they want to preserve the past, they want to preserve the history, they glorify things. We are not Man United fans at the real deal, and I'm telling you, the Bernabeu, the fans in the stadium are not Man United fans either. We care, we have standards. Vinny's fallen off a cliff. Perez has fallen off a cliff in the way he's handling these guys. We're basically what Barcelona were with Club de Amigos. Remember Club de Amigos under Ernesto Valverde? It's like that. Like they went from 4 Champions Leagues in 9 years and a treble to suddenly looking complacent in the biggest Champions League ties to losing Messi and just having to start a new era. It just fell. It like bottomed out on them. That's very much a little bit of my fear here. It's like if we go Club de Amigos, there's nobody with football IQ on the team that can control the game like Cruz or Modric. So it is what it is. Redshift brings up a great point. I mean, Neymar was dribbling, creating chances, and he's always going to beat a 2-1 or the whole team. I wouldn't care if he's finishing with his ass and did all this. Yeah, Vinny doesn't fundamentally create for other players. He just doesn't fundamentally create for them. Why aren't you addressing the elephant in the room that is Mbappe? Bro, he scored all our goals this season. And I think I still fundamentally subscribe to the idea that in the right structure, with the right guys receiving, he is not the problem. I do think that if you try to accommodate for him and Vinny, the offense will look funky. That's my honest opinion. And the reality is that Vinny was better than Mbappe for the first 6 months when they were both playing together. Vinny was better than Mbappe when we beat Atlanta in December 2024. And then January 2025 on, Vinny started dropping off physically. Vinny dropped off as a duelist. Mbappe started scoring. And even if his game isn't optimized for other players, his end product is just significantly higher. You have to go off expected goals, expected assists. Vinny's end product has fallen off significantly. We were putting out stats on our Twitter, if you'd seen. But his peak of 2024, he's a far away from that player. Hoyson is so fucking buns. I thought he beat some cool ball playing CV while being a smart defender, but motherfucker is incredibly mediocre at both. He is slow. Asensio has outshone him in moments. They both struggle defensively at times. I just don't think Real Madrid was built to defend this much, frankly. Like, even if you have good box defending, we weren't supposed to be able to withstand such a lack of defensive rest on the ball. At the end of the day, we rested on the ball under Carlo. We weren't some lockdown defense when we won those Champions Leagues. But yeah, just to close out here, Surya Vijay says, we badly need a structure and strong leadership who put certain players to their position, both on and off the pitch. This should be the start. I agree, man. I agree. This really should be a watershed moment where they look inside and realize you need more. Football has evolved past superstar stage, says Williams. Modern football requires tactical plan and structure, and we just let one of the best in the world leave through the back door. I think fundamentally the talent of a squad dictates its floor and ceiling. And I don't think our squad was talented enough to justify getting rid of these tactical pieces. I think that's very much true. If we had Cruz, Modric, Benzema, Marcelo, Could we get away with the more laissez-faire style of approach? Yes. But honestly, if we had those guys, we would have been able to execute what Xabi wanted and he would have stayed. That's the sad reality. We just couldn't execute what Xabi wanted because we're flawed as a squad, and we choose to blame Xabi and bring in a new coach and hope things will get better and blame Xabi's fitness people. The thing is, the way they blame Xabi's fitness people is the same shit they did with Zidane and Gregory Dupont. Maybe Mourinho was auditioning for the job in the summer today. Listen, guys, Mourinho was bad at Fenerbahce. Mourinho is going to get replaced by Ruben Amorim at some point, in my opinion, at Benfica. This is the bottom of the tactical food chain. The fact that we're losing to Mourinho in 2026 actually should tell you how far we've fallen tactically. And that's why the whole Arbeloa one-touch, wide rotation bullshit makes no sense to me. It's like, okay, what if the wide rotations are useless and we don't create anything? Then what? Then and we're not going to control the game. Then what? It's all about your defensive effort. Honorbound says, Vinny needs to play with his left back. Midfield needs to play together in the center and create that simple. Wingers should not be creating every single play. Yeah, it's funny because Xabi was so criticized for being positional. And like he did lean on Vinny heavily, but even in his positional setup, he had a bit of central creation going with Arda, which is why he kept playing him. That central creation has definitely, like Mbappe still gets on the end of stuff, but it definitely feels like it's not a priority. It feels like, hey, we run it through Vinny, and then at some point when we get desperate, Mbappe will get on the end of something. But fact is, the fact that Mourinho beat us tells you we're at the bottom of the food chain. So, man, it's so sad. I don't really know where else to go here. You know, I've taken all these super chats and as many live chats as I can. We're cooked, guys. So it is what it is. We'll be back over the weekend. We had a fan of ours at the game watching who is going to help enlighten us on the experience over the weekend. And we also, Gerard will be back this weekend. LeConte will be back on the show soon. And we are working on expanding what we have to offer. But thank you all for tuning in. Please like, subscribe. If you would like to have your chats prioritized and be known as a supporter of this channel, we have a $3 a month tier just available for you. It is please sign up on desktop so you get it at $3 a month. Is all I'd say. And we will continue covering where we go from here. Where do you go from here? Do you make a statement benching moves? See, I just don't see where you go when, like, you haven't been able to bench Vinny since October. That's where I don't know where you go. Like, I do think one of our best bets to get better is to not worry about how much that dude wants to play minutes. Can't wait to hear the booze at the Burnabout. Yes. Turns out the stadium-going fans who actually are real people are picky. It's only the online fans who are Manchester United caliber casuals who, you know, like the complacent fans who are okay being served up trash. And I say that because if you've been watching United loyally for 10 years, joke's on you. But it's only fans with low standards who aren't going to boo. If you're paying money for this shit and you're not booing, what's wrong with you, man? Are you used to being served up garbage? Go boo. I totally would warrant booing this weekend. Fundamentally, we've lost, like, as good as Monaco was, it was a disaster. This game was a disaster. Albacete was a disaster. So, again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to the new members for signing up. We're working on expanding things. LeConte will be back soon. And see you all later.